Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Today I want to talk about true colors coming out. I think that somebody's true colors will come out eventually, and the reason this is important, if you're looking to marry somebody from another country, like I did, the Philippines, back in 2015, eventually, after all the small talk and, pleasantries are done, you're thinking, I wish I really could know what this woman is like, or she's thinking, I wish I really could tell what that foreigner is like. So leave a comment on this. I'm going to list some things from an article from Lucas Graham, globalenglishediting.com. I'll leave some thoughts on mine. Let me know if there's a situation with somebody that you were going out with and all of a sudden something happened out of the blue and you knew more about them because of that situation. For example, and please subscribe here to Love Beyond the Sea. I'm here solely to help men learn about a relationship, marriage with a woman from anywhere. I happen to marry a Filipina 9 years ago. So one way true colors comes out is during conflict. Would you agree? During conflict, and when you can spend time with somebody in person, like a Filipina, if you go over there, you meet her, you probably want to see some conflict happen so you can see what they're like. This can even happen online, from behind the camera, the screen, depending on what you're talking about and if that can turn into some kind of conflict. Or they tell you about some conflict in their life and you're kind of turned off by how they handled it. And conflicts, arguments, disagreements, they say here, are part of life. They're inevitable, but it's how we handle these moments that truly reflect our character. Conflict is indeed a prime situation where a person's true colors emerge. It's easy to stay composed and act kindly when everything is smooth sailing, but when the waters get choppy, that is a different story. How a person reacts during a heated argument. Do they stay calm and rational? Or do they resort to personal attacks and shouting? Do they listen and try to understand the other side, or do they only care about proving their point? You get the idea here. Another one, when the true colors come out, is when they are under pressure. Pressure situations are another revealing moment because they test our mental strength, resilience, and patience. The article says, and they mention here a time when they were working on a time-sensitive project at work, deadline approaching, tension was high within the team, and one of their colleagues, who usually appeared calm and collected, started to unravel. He snapped at minor mistakes, blamed others for delays, was generally unpleasant to work with. It was a side of him that none had seen before. And it wasn't a one-off incident, and either in subsequent pressure situations, the same traits reappeared. So under pressure, they say, our calm facade can slip, revealing who we truly are. It's not about being perfect under stress. After all, we're only human, but it's about how we deal with that stress. Do we buckle under the strain or rise to the occasion? How do we treat others when our patience is tested? Now, I will add to this that, over time, when we grow and mature, we certainly can learn to handle these pressure situations differently. When you're young, probably you're not going to handle it as well. But you consider the age. If a person's 30, 40, 50 years old, you'd sure like to see them behaving like one under pressure. 3, when they face failure, true colors come out. When they face failure, and they note here, failure is a part of life. It's often said it's not about how many times we fall, but how many times we get back up. There's a lot of truth in that. How a person reacts to failure can speak volumes about their character. Do they throw in the towel at the first sign of defeat, or take it in stride, learn from it, use their experience as a stepping stone for success? And this is a good question to ask somebody that you are contacting online. Ask them, talk about how you deal with failure. Name a time you failed and how you responded to it. That's important because, you're going to see that in a marriage. And another time, number 4, when they're in a position of power. Here you see the true colors. Power can be a tricky thing, can bring out the best in some, the worst in others. Would you agree? When individuals find themselves in a position of power, they are granted the ability to influence others and make significant decisions. This newfound authority can reveal their true nature. Do they use their power to uplift and support others, or do they misuse it to belittle and control? Are they fair and considerate, or do they favor certain people while undermining others? Thinking about a 40-year work career, and I can see that there's a lot of truth to this. They mention the saying here, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Power doesn't change people. It unmasks them. It reveals who they truly are when given authority over others. So, if you're dating somebody that is in a position of power, you can, observe, learn, ask questions, how they handle that authority. My wife is on her second supervisor job. That's a big deal. I was never a supervisor during my career, and I try to help her any way I can with this. But, when I talk to her, I would know if her answers reveal character that I hadn't seen before, unbecoming character of a leader. I want her to be a good leader, and she treats everybody the same. I mean, she doesn't play favorites. Nobody is beneath her, and she's not above anybody. And those are two really good things to see when somebody is in some position of power. Now, another one here, kind of hard to do and tie it into dating a Filipina, but 5 true colors come out when they believe nobody is watching. Well, that's true for all of us. Easy to put on a good show, when we know others are watching, but what happens when we think no one is looking? A person's actions when they believe they're alone can be quite revealing. Do they still stick to their principles, or do they bend the rules? Do they treat others with respect, or do they become dismissive and rude? One thing I hate is phoniness, and that would reveal a phony side of someone. Number 6, I saw a trait or an indication that can show somebody's true colors would be when they face a personal loss. Personal loss. It's one of the hardest things we go through in life. They say here, about 2.5 million people die just in this country, the U.S., every year, leaving an average of 5 grieving people behind. Excuse me. And grief can be all-consuming, and it's during these times that a person's true colors may surface. They say we don't need research to tell us that loss can make some people bitter and resentful. Well, it can make others more compassionate and understanding. It's a test of strength, resilience, and how we handle our emotions. How does the average person, or how does a person navigate through their grief? Do they use it as an opportunity to grow, or do they let it pull them down? Do they reach out for support, or do they push people away? Each of these responses can tell us something about their character. And again, I'll just add here, going through these personal losses, we can improve how we handle it over time. But, if you're talking to somebody, you're dating them, you can kind of find out, ask questions maybe, about these losses in their life and how they've handled it. What's their perspective about this? Are they angry at God? That's not a good sign. So just think about that. Now I just have less than a minute here. Another one, when they deal with someone from a different background, that reveals who they truly are. We're in a diverse world filled with people of different races, religions, cultures, and backgrounds. Interacting with someone whose experiences and perspectives are different from ours can be both enlightening and challenging. Empathy and respect are hallmarks of a truly great character. I can tell you that my wife is the same around different people, different nationalities. She just doesn't really think that she's better than anyone else. She's not intimidated by that. And another one here before I close, when they are asked to help. The willingness to help others, particularly when there's no personal gain involved, can be a clear indicator of a person's true colors. So leave a comment on this if you've learned anything or want to share something about dating experience you've had here on Love Beyond the Sea.